Okay, good afternoon, class. We will now continue our discussion for Big Picture C, ULOa, no? So we are already done with the country risk, no? Particularly produced by political system, no? And now let's talk about country risk produced by legal system. So so first is we will identify risks because of certain changes, no, particularly in the legal system of a certain country. First here is the foreign investment laws. So these laws affect the type of entries strategy firms choose as well as their operations and performance. Many nations impose restrictions on inward FDI, no. So this is somehow risky because if we have planned, no, to build FDI to a certain country, then there's a slight change now with their legal system, particularly in the foreign investment laws prohibiting mga FDI for that specific country. Of course, we will also be affected. So we will then plan again, no, what country we will really invest, no, our money for FDI or foreign direct investment. Or even, for example, we are already operating, no, in a certain nation. Let us say here in the Philippines, we have FDI here. No, however, there were changes in our foreign investment laws here in the Philippines prohibiting other countries to have mga foreign direct investments here in the Philippines. Then therefore, our operation will stop, no, to abide with the specific law. Next is controls on operating forms and practices. So governments impose laws and regulation on how firms can conduct production, marketing, and distribution activities within their borders. So such restrictions can hinder company performance abroad, no. So basically, if there will be controls on operating forms and practices, in particular on the restrictions, no, in the kanang borders. For example, we used to import our raw materials, no. However, the government has imposed high tariff, no, for that specific raw material. So maapektuhan pud gyud ato no, ato ang way of procurement, no, and sourcing out raw materials. Next is marketing and distribution laws. So these laws determine which practices are allowed in advertising, promotion, and distribution. Of course, in conducting our international business and trade, specifically to other countries, we should also abide, no, with the current marketing and distribution laws in that country. So kung bawal ni, no, because this is somehow, these words are somehow taboo, no, sa ilaha, so we will not use those words, no. Kay for example, here in the Philippines, we are very much sana kanang conservative, no, so we are not allowed really to say mga kuan taboos and other sexual nga mga words, no, nga pwede makaapekto or even makasuhan ta, no. So we should also abide, no, with the existing laws, no, particularly in the marketing and distribution of a certain country. Next is laws on income repatriation. So MNEs earn profits in various countries and typically seek ways to transfer these funds back to their home country. However, in some countries, governments devise laws that restrict such transfers. No? So the action is often taken to preserve hard currencies such as euros, US dollars, or Japanese yen. So uban, no, other countries would somehow restrict, no, the transfer of income or profits, particularly from one country to another country, using their kanang unsa na currencies, no. So better, no, to if we will really have our international business and trade, we will have a partner bank, no, wherein we will really deposit, no, our profits there. Then there we will just request, no, for the transfer of our I mean our kanang unsa na sulod, no, sa atong bangko to another bank and so on and so forth, no. So much better to really use, no, e-banking and other mga financial institutions for the transfer, no, of our profits. Then environmental laws, no. Basically, governments enact laws to preserve natural resources, to combat pollution and the abuse of air, earth, and water resources, no. Of course, if we will have our kanang plant, no, manufacturing plant, we should also abide, no, with the nation's environmental laws, no. For example, dapat mao lang ni ang ma-emit nga carbon dioxide or something waste, no. So dapat ma-follow gyud ta, no. So it is also better to somehow accredit ourselves, no, to ISO, particularly in the environmental aspects, no. If I'm not mistaken, that is ISO 14001, no, for the environment, if I'm not mistaken, no. So based on my prior knowledge, no, about ISO for environment, no, so that is 14001, no, I think. The next is contract law. So international contracts attach rights, duties, and obligations to the contracting parties. So contracts are used in five main types of business transactions. First is sale of goods or services, especially large sales, no. So basically, if we will engage ourselves, no, into the sale of goods and services, labaw nagdinagko, we will really have contracts, no. Even here in gani, we will have our contracts with our provider, no, sa yearbook and even sa photography, no. So same with the big business establishments, no. They will really have the sale of goods, of services nga contract, no. By that, ma-check, no, if tama ba ang na-deliver, ang quality sa product dapat maupod ni, no. There are specifications. Then distribution of the firm's products through foreign distributors, no. Of course, katong na-discuss ni nato sa una, no, nga we will have mga actors, no, particularly in engaging into international business and trade, no. Then licensing and franchising, that is a contractual relationship that allows a firm to use another company's intellectual property, marketing tools, or other assets for a fee, no. So of course, if we will do franchising, no, so gipalit nato ang name also, no, of the business, at the same time their practices, the products, no. So same gyud ta og products, though there are slight changes, no, particularly in other countries. Kung tayo Jollibee here in the Philippines, maybe lahi pod og lasa ang Jollibee dito sa Malaysia because they're more into halang-halang, no. So diri sa Philippines mild lang man gyud atong halang. So ang other countries grabe pod kahalang, no. So depende na no, sa kasabutan. Then FDI, especially in collaboration with a foreign entity to create and operate a foreign subsidiary, and joint ventures and other types of cross-border collaborations, no. So when we talk about joint ventures, one or two or more, no, I mean, companies will somehow join, no, forces to create a specific product, no. So for example, isa ka car, no, car ang i-produce, lahi ang contract ay lahi ang maghatag sa aircon, no, ang provider sa aircon and the like, no. So at the same time mag-join sila for that specific project, no. Next is internet and e-commerce regulations, no. So we should also abide, no, with the existing internet and e-commerce regulations for a specific country, no. Then inadequate or underdeveloped legal system. So this is somehow hadlock, no, if a certain country has this kind of legal system which is inadequate and underdeveloped, meaning daghan kay loopholes, no, in the regulation of in the conduct, no, of the international business and trade. Now let's talk about country risk arising from the home country legal environment, no. First is extraterritoriality. So this refers to the application of home country laws to persons or conduct outside national borders, no. So in most cases, such laws are intended to prosecute individuals or firms located abroad for some type of wrongdoing. So businesses generally oppose extraterritoriality because it tends to increase the costs and uncertainty of operating abroad, no. So basically, this would be in practice, no, if there are mga wrongdoings, no, of our firms, no, or individuals located abroad, no. So that is extraterritoriality, though dili na nato controlled, pero since there are mga wrongdoings, no, we will somehow apply, no, extraterritoriality. Then accounting and reporting laws. So accounting practices and standards differ greatly around the world, no. So lahi man ato adiri. For example, here in the Philippines, we have the PAS, no, or Philippine Accounting System. So we cannot assure that our PAS, no, or mga standards nato ay Philippine Accounting Standards. I think, no, kung tayo ka na PAS, we are not assured, no, if maupod na yung gina-follow sa other countries kay they also have their accounting standards, no. So it is really better, no, to be equipped, no, with the current accounting standards practiced in that specific country. Of course, that is why the CPAs here in the Philippines, kung mas-CPA po dito sa other countries, they will somehow undergo mga more trainings and seminars for them to know the accounting standards, no, to be used in that specific country. And last one is transparency in financial reporting, no. So the timing and transparency of financial reporting vary widely around the world. So transparency is the degree to which firms regularly reveal substantial information about their financial condition and accounting practices. So basically, the transparency in financial reporting is more particular to the stakeholders of the business, no. It is really important, no, to prepare the financial report and make it somehow transparent to the stakeholders, particularly the shareholders, no, or stake shareholders or stockholders, no. So basically, they are the ones who is the most interested, no, mga parties in looking out the financial reports, no, of the business, no. So those are the risks, no, identified whenever we will have or we will engage ourselves, no, our business into international business and trade. So I believe we are already done with big picture C, ULOa, no. And now let's continue for big picture C, ULOb.